Have you been giving out senator
When do you want the cents?
I do like the Massachusetts.
PIC, it's a ER.
There are two separate.
I believe this is up.
You might want more.
We're good.
You could run this and I could guess on it.
Never mind. I'll go for it.
If you ran this, I wouldn't make you catch it.
Regardless of
Next without it, I would make a
Senate
special.
attorneys afterwards.
You got it. I'll schedule something tonight.
That was a good one. With that, it is my honor to call to order the 15th session of the 55th Senate. For all of us willing and able, please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. That will now be moving into our right acknowledgement.
Colorado State University acknowledges with respect that the land we are on today is the traditional and ancestral homelands of the Arapaho, Cheyenne, and Ute nations and peoples.
This was also a site of trade, gathering, and healing for numerous other native nations.
We recognize the indigenous peoples as original stewards of this land and all the relatives within it.
As these words of acknowledgement are spoken and heard, the ties nations have to their traditional homelands are renewed and reaffirmed.
CSU is a land-grant institution, and we accept that our mission must encompass access to education and inclusion.
And significantly, that our founding came at a dire cost to Native nations and peoples whose land this university was built upon.
This acknowledgement is the education and inclusion we must practice in recognizing our institutional history, responsibility, and commitment.
Thank you. That will now be moving into the swearing in of new senators and associates. If you are a new senator or associate, please join us in the front. I state your name.
I, Carlos Ornelas,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
to defend and uphold
to defend and uphold
the rules and regulations
the rules and regulations
set forth by the Constitution
set forth by the Constitution
of the Associated Students of Colorado State University
of the Associated Students of Colorado State University
and will rightfully perform the duties of my office to the best of my ability. Congrats. Congratulations. With that, we'll now be moving into beginning roll call. Speaker Reese. Present. Speaker Pro Tempore Lutz.
Right next to you.
Parliamentarian Falbo.
In the seat over.
Thanks for the clarification. Senator Eddington.
Here.
Associate Senator Price, Associate Senator Esquivel, Senator Buchel, Officer Diggs,
Present.
Senator Chalk, Senator Roberts,
Present.
Associate Senator Wilkin, Associate Senator Keir,
Present.
Senator Johnson, Senator Pana Perez,
Present.
Senator Dusterberg,
Present.
Senator Jameson,
Present.
Senator Taylor,
Here.
Senator Ornelas. You just sworn in, but I put you on there, so. Senator McCorkle,
Present.
Senator Garnand. Here. Chair Quesada Stoner. Present. Senator Vega.
Present.
Senator Robertson. Present. Senator Candelero. Senator Leggett. Chair Rivera. Chair McLaughlin.
Present.
Senator Hansen. Senator Bochinin. Thank you. Senator Grant. Senator Corey. Senator Hajira. Senator Mendoza. Associate Senator Pratt. Senator Hernandez.
Present.
Senator Simpson.
Present.
Officer Jowden.
Here, oh, so sorry.
No, you're good. Senator Frisky. Senator Fayan. Present. Chair Gray. Here. Associate Senator Leary.
Present.
Senator Jama.
Here.
Senator Jeffries.
Here.
Senator Pickerel.
Here.
Associate Senator Grube.
Here.
Associate Senator Harris.
Here.
Associate Senator Markle.
Here.
Chair Gilroy. Senator Tornado.
Here.
Senator Singleton.
Present.
And that's all I have. Thank you. Thank you, Sydney. With that, we'll now be moving into consent agenda. Do I hear any dissent to this agenda? Director Davis.
I'd just like to motion to move the bill, I don't think there's numbers, bill 54, hashtag,
54?
hashtag, 5531, to the top of new business, please.
Is there any dissent to this? Hearing none. That'll be reflected. Is there any other dissent to this agenda? Cool. With that, we'll now be moving into gallery input. Does anyone from gallery at this time wish to speak? Cool. Moving forward, we'll now be moving into our guest speaker, awesome Andrew, I believe, presenting the executive bylaws. Is he here? Ellie, go find Andrew.
Andrew! Maybe not with that tone, yeah.
I don't see a.
I know, it's a
It's not funny or what you're doing.
No, it's a sound, don't worry.
Thank you.
Woo!
Awesome, how exciting. This is the executive bylaws, and I'm presenting them to you all today. My name is Andrew. I serve as the Chief of Operations if I haven't met you yet. Largely they were kept the same from the previous year. There's a couple clerical things we changed, and then one thing I wanted to address at the beginning, in the document that was all shared in the newsletter, thank you to Leary for pointing this out. The FSL job description was in there. I copy and pasted the wrong set. I sent that to Brooke, and I'm going to send it in the newsletter again next week. It was just like a simple error. It wasn't intentional at all. And the one on the website and the one that I sent back out to everyone has the correct RSO job description beneath. But to jump back into the specific nature of the bylaws and what kind of changed, we defined good standing a little bit better. Now it's clearly not being on academic or disciplinary probation. This is an Article 1 membership. We matched the higher GPA for president and vice presidents 2.25 in the Constitution, not 2.0. We added a timeline for the vice president vacancy as the vice president position were to become vacant. It was 3 regular Senate sessions to nominate a permanent successor, so we just put a timeline on that. A lot of specific things, like we specifically outlined the president's staff, chief operations administrative coordinator. We added different departments. We renamed those ones that are new, like for example, there's Unified Success, which kind of merged academics and diversity, equity, and inclusion. And then we also defined our director positions, assistant director positions, and deputy director positions. We outlined our specific meeting time, which is 5 to 6 on Wednesdays. We discussed absences. The policy of 3 absences was precisely unexcused absences. We defined that. We granted speaking rights officially to everyone, although cabinet is relatively informal and everyone can speak, but we wanted to make sure that was clear and consistent. A couple of things to Article 4 duties and responsibilities that are cool. I've mentioned this before, but Senate committee attendance and caucus attendance is now required once per month, and Ellie and I are actually working to validate that for the first time for this last November. So again, please invite people, and we're going to go ahead and try and make sure that happens. We're going to hold people accountable to that. We put monthly reports into the bylaws are now required. That was not required previously within the bylaws. We talked about formal transition reports because that's a big issue in this organization, is continuity, and so we outlined how the requirement for those at the end of the year, as well as people working on them throughout the year. We kind of really changed the removal process in Article 5. It's not necessarily changed, but it wasn't specifically in the bylaws from last year. We've presented this in cabinet a couple of times, but it matches the judicial and legislative bylaws in a lot of ways. There's an informal written warning, and a formal written warning, and then evaluation for removal meeting with an impartial third-party university staff member, supervisor, advisor member. It matches all the other bylaws essentially, and it's just kind of that internal process. 2 new things we added to that process that aligned with everyone else was the right to appeal. It wasn't previously in there. You can appeal the decisions of the ASCSU Supreme Court if you are removed from your office. And then there's also a new one that's immediate suspension. And the president is given the power to immediately suspend an officer for severe violations like harassment, financial, like really big financial issues, that style of thing. And it's a suspension and then a formal impeachment process. It's probably something that would be initiated with that, or a more formal investigation from a different third party. Article 7 was our executive code of conduct. We wrote that as a separate document a couple times. We just integrated into the bylaws. It talks about professionalism and respect, accountability, service, integrity, conflict of interest, confidentiality, public representation. Kind of touches on a couple of the other things of that nature. That's kind of the big changes we made. These are our bylaws, so no one holds accountable to them. A lot of them are mostly internally facing, though, so we're going to be using them to hold our branch accountable. It's super, super important. That's kind of what I got for y'all. Thanks so much for your time.
With that, we will move into executive reports, if anyone wants to talk.
Hey, I'll speed run this because I do have a lot, but okay.
Everyone just like take out your calendars, just have everything kind of in your brain. Wellness Wonderland will be February 6th from 10 to 1:30 in LOC ballrooms A, B, and C. We will have a guest speaker there at 12:30 to 1 talking there, with Vindicate, and they're on like the board, I think. But they're just gonna talk about kind of the founding, the way that students like can interact, the way that they engage with community and engage with CSU specifically. So like kind of how you can get involved, how you can learn about it, all that kind of stuff. There will be a ton of organizations there as well. It just would mean a lot if you guys pulled up for like 10 minutes. You can literally come, get some swag, and then leave. Like it's not a big deal. Just like being there is really cool, so that'd be great. February 6th from 10 to 1:30. I also started planning with the Basic Needs Summit, so I'm just gonna like periodically update you guys, I think. But if any of you ever have like, if you attended last year, if you wanted to attend but didn't, but you have like ideas or anything regarding that, let me know. But I've been talking with people from different schools, and like we're creating a sort of like team to plan so that we can engage in that more cross collaboration across schools and like fill in more gaps and stuff. So if you have any ideas or anything like that, let me know. Rainbow harm reduction we tabled on last Thursday, not Thanksgiving, but the one before that. And we did like a trial run, got rid of 47 kids in 15 minutes, which is like really fast. So I've got some really good data for like future tabling and that kind of stuff. So if you have interest, I'll be sending out sign up geniuses periodically for that. And something cool that I learned about that I sent this out in the Teams, I didn't get to include this in my presentation recently, but the Career Center has an entire fund actually. If you're part of the College of Business, you can't utilize it because you guys have your own, but if you ever need like professional clothing for work, interviews, anything like that, you can apply. You do have to demonstrate financial need, but you can get like up to a couple $100s worth of like purchasing power for professional clothing. So it's on the Career Center website and it's in the Teams, so if you ever need that, feel free to look out. I think that's it. Thank you. Hi friends, couple of updates. On Monday, I was able to meet with Riley Jackson, who's the Director of Governmental Relations for CU Boulder's student government, and we were able to cross-collaborate on some ideas for how we want to lobby and some of our priorities for next semester, and also how they're doing like their version of LSAB and things of the sorts on their campus. And it was super cool to understand some of the ways that we can work together as like Colorado Institute of Higher Education Student Government Coalition, and pushing to make sure that policies that are centering students are being passed at the state legislature next semester. So super cool. I want to thank everyone here for advertising both LSAB and Evening with their elected officials. It's gone really great so far, and I'm really excited for that. We have an amazing board who you'll hear from later today. So thank you for helping and sharing that advertisement. My last thing is tomorrow is Evening with your elected officials from 6 to 8 p.m. in the LSU Ballroom D. Please continue to share out and ensure that you're also sharing the RSVP link. That's going to help me a lot to understand table settings and things of the sort. We have about 9 elected officials coming from both state, county, and also city level, which will be super fun. And then over break, we're going to be doing a lot of planning for next semester. We have a lot of ambitions, including onboarding more interns, lobbying situations, LSAB, Day at the Capitol series, and civic engagement series. So if you have any ideas for that, or if you know anyone who'd like to intern for the Department of Governmental Affairs, send them my way. Thank you.
Hi everyone, I'm back. I got 2 quick things. One, I can't believe this was the last time y'all had Senate, but thank you for everyone who came to game night. Shout out to Farron and Victoria. That was last Thursday, November 20th. It was super cool, super fun. Hope we get to do it again next semester. And then our November monthly reports are due this Friday. They'll be in the newsletter next Monday. Please go take a look at them, hold us accountable, double check our work, etc., etc., etc. Thanks so much, everyone.
Hello everyone, it's so nice to meet you. My name is Cassandra Pulitz-Pwai, and I am the co-president of the Graduate Student Council. I'll go ahead and introduce my co-president.
Hi everyone, my name is Victor Lamb. So we are co-presidents, but also dual role as co-directors of Graduate Affairs for the cabinet, so that's why we're here.
Yeah, and we're just love all the work that you all are doing in Senate. So Victor and I wanted to come in and just visit. And I know we have some graduate senators. Are they here? I see one. Anyone else? Oh, Jared too, and then Claire. Or,
Technically doesn't represent.
but we do a lot of work with you all. So on the graduate level, and I'm just curious, how many are considering graduate school? Oh my goodness, I'm so excited. I am thank you for filling my cup of joy right now. But yes, so Vigor and I on the end are trying to, we work a lot with ASCSU and your executive branch, and there's been a lot of initiatives that we have co-opted together, and it's been such a wonderful thing. And are there anything that's specific that you want to bring up on?
I think we have a lot of events that we do at graduate affairs. If you're interested, those interested in graduate school, please can talk to us, talk to your senators, but we're here as a resource to you all in general. We have the Graduate Appreciation Week coming up in February. We're having a recognition event for graduate students in May, but we'll get all information out through the newsletters and things like that.
Yeah, and a lot of the things that we try to provide graduate students at this level is in the sense of traveling with travel grants, advocacy, networking, a lot of the similar things that you all do. But we appreciate all the efforts and joining together with the Graduate Student Council. So thank you for each and every one of you. And again, if you want to know about graduate school, please reach out to us because we do a lot of fun events to try to expand those kind of relationships. And we even have mentoring programs as well, so.
And I don't live here, so you might not see me for a while. I'll be virtually maybe then, but just a heads up. So good to see you all in person. Thanks so much.
Yeah, that's all we want to say.
Hi everybody, I'm back again. I think I've met all of you in this room, and if I haven't, hi, I'm Sophie, I'm the Director of Finance. Today I'm back telling you again that we're hiring for BSOF. We're hiring 3 seats right now. One of them is specifically reserved for a member of the legislative or judicial branch. So please apply. I haven't gotten any applications from anybody on the legislative branch yet. And I just kind of want to share a little bit of information about what BSOF is, because maybe that's kind of like the barrier. People are like, well, I don't know what the hell it is, so I'm not going to do it. But we are the Board for Student Organization Funding, and we meet every Tuesday in the conference room from 5:30 to 7. It's really just like an hour-and-a-half time commitment each week. It's not paid, but it's like some really great experience. It's really cool to see different student organizations and what they're doing. It's a great way to get involved on campus and have a say in where your student fees go. So if you have any questions about what BSOF is or what being on the board entails, please reach out to me. The application is linked on the BSOF Instagram. So yes, thank you all.
Hi everyone, thanks for being here. A few things, the annual Pacesetter Scholarship is now open. It's on our Instagram with the flyer and all the details. It's for student leadership, which I think that everyone in this room just being here already kind of qualifies for that. Highly recommend you apply, and if not, please send it to your constituents, anyone that you may know who is involved on campus or in any sort of leadership. It's a pretty great opportunity, and it's something that ASCSU gets to do every year, I apologize. So it's pretty great for us to promote that. Other than that, SFRB, we have our last meeting next Monday. Feel free to stop by. We did a little audit of our membership in hopes to figure out how many open seats we're gonna have next semester. It's not looking too promising. I do think that we are full at the 30 members that we're allowed to right now with voting privileges. However, with that being said, we are in the process as a board with our executive team rewriting the bylaws for SFRB to make them a little more updated based off of the new changes that we were able to incorporate this year. So those will be hitting the floor here hopefully sometime soon at the beginning of next semester. But while we're working on that, if anybody wants to go ahead and review those and provide any feedback that you have to me that you would like to see in there, I would totally welcome that, and I want everyone's opinions on that. Yeah, that's all I have. Thanks.
Thank you. With that, we'll move into judicial reports.
Hi, my name's Cameron. I'm a associate justice currently. We don't really have anything. Our last meeting is on Friday. We're gonna let everyone know once we find a time to make our weekly meeting for next semester, but we have not done that. So If anyone has questions, just ask me or Melanie. If I have talked to you, this will be a repeat if I haven't allowed me to do so. We are still trying to fill elections committees, so if you are at all interested in elections or sitting on violations hearings or being a campaign liaison or just being involved in this election and you are not on a campaign team, please come chat with me. I would also really request that you share that with your constituents. I know Werner has been really amazing at getting the word out. And I would love if the others of you would be willing to do that. The link has been sent in the teams probably about 10 times now, but if you need it again, I'm more than happy to send it to you. That is that. I also would like to shout out everyone that came to help with tabling on Monday. We are officially within 100 days to the election, which is crazy. And then election stuff starts pretty much right after winter break, so continue to look at that legislation, ask questions, and come chat with me if you have any questions.
Hi everyone, just a quick thing. The provost has reached out to me about the Open Educational Resource Program here at CSU. So that is like free or low cost reduction textbooks for students. So that's like your professors actively choosing to go with a online source or choosing to go that way or sharing that information rather than like a $200 textbook. And so with new administration coming into that one, they want to really revamp that program, but they need student support to show that we actually want this program to continue and we want it to be bigger and better and more faculty buy-in. So they have asked for ASCSU support. I don't know exactly how this will look like yet. They reached out today. And so that could be a resolution, that could be a committee, that could be us just meeting with them. But if you guys are interested in your roles, or you're just interested as a student who wants $0 textbooks, please reach out to me at my Supreme Court email and we can get together on that. Thank you.
Thank you. With that, we'll now be moving into legislative reports, starting with officers' reports, starting with me. With that, we'll be having a session next week during Dead Week, so be here or send one of us a text saying you aren't going to be here. Second, we're likely to have a lot of expedited legislation in the next 2 sessions. It's the end of the semester. It happens every time. Womp womp. With that, read the legislation before coming to Senate. Pretty, please. Also, always do that. Pretty, please. Third, I attended a Pacific meeting this week. I don't remember what the acronym's for, but if you email me, I can tell you what the acronym's for. It's essentially a bunch of fee leaders, student people meeting with admin every so often throughout the academic year. How that relates to you. We have shared governance reference. A sort of issue in terms of remaining in contact between ASCSU, the college councils, and the fee advisory boards. Expect an email from me, including your college council president if you are a college council senator, connecting you with the fee advisory board president to ensure they have representation, we have representation in this room, and we all know what we do for students. With that, Abby, do you have anything to report? Do you? Oh, officers?
Hello everyone, so good to see you. Unfortunately, I wish I could have stayed home because of the snow today, but none of my professors get to the class. But on that note, I wanted to say thank you to everyone that came to Trans Day Remembrance. I will say I saw so many people from ASCSU in the crowd, and I literally thank you so much. It means a lot, truly, that y'all showed up for the event. Also, thank you for coming to Gay Night. Yes, shout out Andrew, shout out Laura, shout out Victoria. Organizational wellness, come join the team. It's the best interbranch team ever. But anyways, on that note, one thing this is mainly for the CRC senators in the room. I should be sending out a email to directors and just your senators, reaching out for context for student leaders in that space. Basically, something I want to do, especially for the spring semester, is really create a more united front between all of the CRCs and the centers, and that includes, I wanna get together a group of student leaders from each of the centers to kind of get in one space and be brainstorming what we can do as kind of more of a united front, because now I do feel like a lot of the CRC centers are pretty disconnected, they kind of exist in their own bubbles, and when there is collaboration, it's usually only just between two rather than all of us as a whole. And I think moving forward, especially things like under the federal government, but also our own administration here on campus, it's especially important for CRCs to be more united than ever. So if you know someone that's a student leader in a CRC, please send their contact to me. And yeah, I'll be sending out that email. If y'all have any questions, let me know, and I hope y'all have a wonderful day.
Diana, do you have anything? Yes, really quick. I hope everyone had a wonderful break, and I didn't get it in before the agenda was released this week, but stay tuned for Senate Wrapped next week.
Yes!
And it'll be sent out in the teams.
Coolio. With that, we'll now be moving into Senator and Associate Senator reports by First Vice Blackard. Oh my goodness, I can read. We'll now be moving into Committee and Caucus reports by First Vice Blackard. Chair McLaughlin.
I canceled committee yesterday because I have a ton of work to do. And if you came in and found out it was canceled after coming in, just send me an email or Teams message and I'll give you credit. I will be as lenient as Brooke and Ellie allow me to be with this.
I prioritize communication as long as you communicate with Jared and also CC Ellie, so Ellie doesn't give you a strike. Duly. All good. Is that the end of your report?
Yes.
Cool, yeah. Are there any other Chair Casada Stoneman?
We looked at 3 pieces of legislation in committee. Also, I apologize, committee was a little bit rough on Monday. The Wi-Fi kept going in and out on me. Online version was just being a little word I can't say. But yeah, with growing food security and funding extension, DI did endorse. And then we also endorsed Resolution 5524, which was the addition of campus community reports to the Senate agenda. And then we also looked at Resolution 5523, supporting human gross anatomy lab light repairs, and we chose to sponsor that. Thank you all for coming. I think that is all I have for DI. Thank you. Thank you.
Coolio. Any other for your caucus reports? Coolio. With that, now we'll be moving into Senator and Associate Senator reports by Vice Blackard. Senator Taylor.
I know it's cold and snowy out, so if anybody would like a ride home, I can fit up to 5 people in my car, so I can take up to 4 people home, and I would like to offer that to each of you. Just get in touch with me anytime between now and the end of Senate. I yield.
Coolio. Senator Bigwell.
I'm making an announcement on behalf of Director Ben Gregg. The Unified Success Department is hosting a study bash, likely in the ASCSU office, on Thursday, the 11th of December at 5 p.m. There'll be pastries and hot chocolate, and you can RSVP on Teams, and that RSVP will be sent out by Friday. I yield.
Coolio. Associate Senator Leary.
Hey everyone, just trying to send out the information about the Duels and Desserts event from the SEC. It's kind of a dual event, so it's going to be on the December 9th from 1 to 4 until 1:21, which is basically where the SDC office is, and then the December 10th, 12 to 3 p.m. In LSD 304, 306, which is right above us, a little bit that way. Come create art with the REM events in the SDC and enjoy free snacks and desserts. And then Rams Cook and Care from REM events and Rams Against Hunger, I believe. They're going to be handing out food bags on the plaza on December 9th from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. And then it's going to have the food and instructions, and you can make your own lentil soup And then they're also taking food donations from the 1st until the 12th in the campus activities office, which is on the 1st floor. And it's like right by KCSU. Yeah. I yield.
Thank you. With that, are there any other Senator or Associate Senator reports? Seeing none, we'll now enter confidence business with 2 hours on the clock. I would entertain a motion based off of me not seeing a BSOF board or the chair or anything like that. A motion to remove ratification of BSOF. Senator Taylor.
Oops. I motion to remove the ratification of BSOF by unanimous consent.
Is there any dissent?
Can we wait till Emily gets back with potentially Sophie?
Hi Sophie, are you intending on ratifying BSOF tonight? Okay, cool, we're here. Oh, that was insanely my bad. 100% chill and now-ish. Yeah.
You were so ready to get in here.
Hi, I'm Seamus Riley. I'm a fourth-year finance student here at CSU. I currently work at Blue Arena as a suite server there, and I also serve on the Student Fee Review Board with Joseph.
Yeah, that's him.
Earlier with that, we'll now be entering a 10-minute period of Q&A by first race placard. Seeing none, we'll now move into a period of discussion debate. If you could take a step outside. We'll now be entering a period of discussion debate by first race placard. That one fell, that's crazy. Senator Brand.
I would like to motion the previous question.
Second.
Is there any dissent? Hearing none, just a reminder, during consent agenda, you can move stuff into consent agenda if you don't think it's contentious, and then we can avoid this. But with that, we'll now be moving into a period of voting. Initially, it'd be secret ballot. Senator Fernand.
Motion to approve the candidate with unanimous consent.
Is there any dissent to the ratification of this candidate? Hearing none, congratulations, BSOF member. 1 second. There's no voting. I state your name,
I, Seamus Riley,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
to defend and uphold
to defend and uphold
the rules and regulations
the rules and regulations
set forth by the Constitution of the Associated Students of Colorado State University
set forth by the Constitution of the Associated Students of Colorado State University
and will rightfully perform
the
duties of my office
the duties of my office
to the best of my ability.
to the best of my ability. Thank you. With that, we'll now be moving into the election of Senate LSAT membership. Do I hear any nominations? Or self-nominations?
I'll nominate myself.
Shut up, Jared.
I will also nominate myself out of my clock career.
Okay, so Chair McLaughlin and then Senator Taylor, we have 3 seats. Does anyone else?
I nominate Senator Pickerel.
I second.
Except if that's allowed.
Yeah, oh my goodness, I'm so used to not doing this for us. Chairman Senator Taylor, if you accept, yes, cool. Does anyone else wish to nominate anyone for this position? Seeing none, we'll go ahead and move into each candidate. Does anyone want to go first?
Just a question, since there's 3 candidates and 3 seats, do we need to do an election?
Second.
not to spoil the fun.
It's currently written on the agenda, the Senate approved the agenda. What I would suggest is moving all three candidates onto a slate because the amount of candidates for the amount of seats are equal, so you can do that. And then do our normal previous question.
Claire and Amy, would you all like to form a political party? Awesome.
Coolio. Do I hear a motion for Chair Gray?
Put them on a slate, let's do that, a motion to do that.
Is there any dissent to putting these candidates on a slate? Hearing none, lit. If the three of you want to stand at the front for 2 seconds.
Let's virtual speeches.
Coolio, with that, we'll now be entering a period of Q&A or I guess, do you want to present yourselves or?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Howdy folks, I'm Hayden. I was on LSAT last year, so I think I would be a good candidate. I have some experience with this. I yield.
Hello, I'm Jared. I was also on LSAB last year, so I'll copy Aiden's points. But specifically, one thing I'd like to do with LSAB this year is make it a bit more student-directed. I think a problem last year was that the board kind of followed the direction of our lobbyists, which is not a bad thing, but since it's a student-run board, it should be students that are making decisions about the direction of the board. So I'd like to encourage that this year and potentially have ASCSU be more involved with advocating for pro-housing policies in Fort Collins and the state of Colorado.
My name's Claire Pickerel. I was not on LSAB last year, but I was on it the year before that. So I was around when the whole lobbyist thing came to be, I think. Brooke was also on LSAB with me, hence looking to Brooke. Yeah, I think I actually want to echo the importance of that, student-driven LSAB, because it is the interest of the students that we both represent within the Senate, but within our advisory boards, we serve as representatives, and it's important that we do that.
You're all done presenting? Coolio. With that, we'll now be entering a period of Q&A for our candidates by first raise blocker. Shocker, I'm just kind of having moments like these. With that, we'll now be moving into a period of discussion debate. If our candidates could take a stand outside.
Leave the mic. Leave the mic.
Yeah, you do. Oh, you want it, sorry. And we all vote yes on us.
Maybe so. With that, we'll now be entering a period of discussion debate by first raise placard. Senator Garland.
Previous question.
Is there any dissent? Hearing none, we'll now be moving into a period of voting. Initially, this would be by secret ballot. Oh my, I know your first, that means we're really friends, because I was thinking of your first name. Senator Baker.
Motion to approve candidates by unanimous consent.
Is there any dissent? Hearing none. Coolio. Oh wait. That was for you. Ellie, can you bring them?
Sure.
Yeah, Ellie.
I'm bringing them in to ratify them with the rest of your board, if that's your concern. Yeah, I would appreciate it to be able to okay, cool. Yeah, if the rest of LSAB wants to join them and me over there, that'd be awesome.
Wait, don't they have to go, my candidates have to go through ratification first, so, I was gonna say, the Senate. The legislature?
I'm so EB, sorry, trio, see you in a second. Just if you wanna come to the front and present your candidates. Your candidates for them.
Hi squad, we have our collection of our executive members and also our at-large students. I'll go ahead and introduce some of them. So for our executive board, we have Joseph and we have Laura, familiar faces. Both of them have actually served on LSAB in the past, which is super cool. And they're also both studying political science with a minor that's not in like social sciences, which is super cool. And so they have that experience, and I'm really excited to see what they bring to the table. For everyone else, I have a little bit of a more like thought out, fleshed out bios for them. But yeah, we have 4 at-large members, which is super cool. So I'll just kind of go down the line. So first we have Ian Catcher. He's a general sociology major, and the work that LSAB is doing is really similar to what he wants to do in the future, which is super cool. And he's currently interning with Congressman Neguse, which is super cool. So he has that legislative experience under his belt. Next, we have Nicole Marine. She's a political science major and a Spanish minor, twin in them. She's joining LSAB to help advocate for the student voice, and the next semester she'll also be an intern for Representative Jennifer Bacon, and has completed coursework on legislative processes, so also very qualified. Next, we have Eric Konecki. Yes, I got it. Okay, cool. He's a double major in business administration with a concentration in management and innovation, and a history major in the concentration in digital and public history. He's really inspired by the social change that he's seen on campus and wants to help in continuing that student advocacy, and has experience back in the past in student advocacy as a founding member of his high school's chapter of Student Demand Action. Shout out, me too. Next we have Braden. Albert. There we go. I'm getting there, guys. Don't worry. He's studying history with a political science minor and has an active role in student advocacy, and has worked with legislators before and is looking to continue that. And so all of these candidates filled out a Microsoft Forms survey where I asked about why they want to join LSAB, and any previous experience they have and any additional things they want to talk about. Okay, I have time. And then I had individual one-on-one conversations with each of them, asking them questions about how personal biases would show up in this, especially political biases, to ensure that we're putting the students first. And then also time management questions, and just generally trying to get their interests, if they had any particular interest areas that they're looking to see the board pursue. I'm done.
Cool, yeah. With that, we'll now be moving into a period of, these candidates aren't on the slate yet. I would entertain a motion to move these candidates onto a slate. Senator Taylor?
I motion to put these candidates on a slate by unanimous consent.
Is there any dissent to that motion? Hearing none. Yeah, you're on the slate. Now we'll be entering a period of Q&A by first raised placard. Senator Taylor?
I motion to approve this question.
Sick. Is there any dissent to that motion? Hearing none, we'll now be moving into a period of discussion, debate, and PPTs. Yeah, with that, we'll now be entering a period of discussion, debate by first raised placard. Senator Singleton?
I motion for a previous question.
Is there any dissent to this motion? Hearing none, we'll now move into a period of voting. Initially, this would be secret ballot. Senator Taylor?
I motion to do this by unanimous consent.
Is there any dissent to the ratification of these candidates? Hearing none, can you get them?
Yeah.
Shut up. Sorry for the kerfuffle earlier, I got really excited Claire was on the board. If our elected by the Senate membership of LSAB could join the rest of LSAB to be ratified, that'd be swag.
No sign.
Wait, doesn't Jolicity have to get ratified too?
I'll just get out.
There we go.
I state your name.
I, Jared Donaldson,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
to defend and uphold
to defend and uphold
the rules and regulations
the rules and regulations
set forth by the Constitution of the Associated Students of Colorado State University
set forth by the Constitution of the Associated Students of Colorado State University
and will rightfully perform
and will rightfully perform
the duties of my office
the duties of my office
to the best of my ability.
to the best of my ability.
Congrats.
Can I just tell them real quick? Or does it not matter? Does matter. Okay, cool.
With that, we'll now be moving into old business. Look at that, we're done with old business. We'll now be moving into new business, starting with Bill 5529, establishing the legislative. Oh, I thought you moved it in between them. Bill 5531, supplementing the Rams Against Hunger Pantry for winter break.
Sorry.
Are you planning to enter committee of the whole to make the edits for Julia's thing? Or do you want to just have Julia do it?
I can do it.
Is that?
Yeah, I'll talk to you afterwards about what
That's
good. For substantive edits, enter committee, but it's just clarity,
So we'll just do Julia's stuff. Yeah, I'll do Julia's stuff.
Bill 5531, supplementing the Rams Against Hunger Pantry for winter break. This bill aims to provide the Rams Against Hunger Food Pantry with $2,000 to purchase an increased volume of items, allowing students to supplement for the 2 weeks the food pantry is closed over winter break. You have 10 minutes.
Okay. Who listened to Brooke? Who read this? Good, because the next bit I need it, but I'll be later. This is essentially, so the Rams Against Hunger Food Pantry, the general one, is closed the first 2 weeks of winter break, obviously to give their staff a break, to give their student staff a break, holidays, New Year's, all that kind of stuff. That being said, it is the main and essentially only like grocery store form of grocery collecting for a lot of people, and so when you don't have groceries for 2 weeks, you don't have groceries for 2 weeks. And so what they wanted to do was, this was something that Mike had like kind of asked about, was if they were able to stock up extra these next couple weeks so that the people who utilize the pantry can supplement their own pantries to last extra 2 weeks, so that when they're closed, they can like still have stuff to last. Does that make sense? So it's like that kind of stuff. Yeah, that's it.
Coolio, with that, we'll now be entering a period of Q&A on this legislation, starting by first raised placard. Senator.
This is the question, this is just a motion. I move to expedite this bill by unanimous consent.
Is there any dissent to this motion?
I'm so sorry, I wanna go into committee of the whole, but I also have general edits. Should I use committee or should I use my author rights?
I would use committee.
Sorry, I'm so sorry, you guys.
We'll just do
Committee? Okay.
For floor edits, it's not codified anywhere else besides committee of the whole, and with you already expediting this legislation, that would be the most effective process to utilize. I got lost. Hayden made a motion, we were voting on the motion. Is there any dissent to expediting this piece of legislation? Hearing none, this legislation is now expedited. Do I hear I would entertain an additional motion to enter or dissolve into the committee of the whole. Can you raise your placard, Associate Senator Leary?
I motion to dissolve into committee of the whole.
Is there any dissent to dissolving into the committee of the whole? Hearing none, if we want to start with the author's edits.
Yeah, just a few. I need to add Jared as a sponsor, and then I have a couple endorsers as well.
Just give me.
And I can give you that, yeah. That's the first one, there's more.
And this also makes it so that it reaches like the proper threshold, which it did before I sent it out, but like it's like reflected on the legislation, you know? And I did get sign off from Jared and Sophie and Julia and Farah. Processes have been fulfilled.
For the purposes of concision, I'm just gonna write their names and I'll add the titles later, if that's all right.
Okay. Number 2, oh, this was a suggestion made by Jared. If you, for the first therefore clause, it currently says for the supplementation, I need that to change to discretionary fund for the Ramsey Wisconsin pantry to purchase additional stocks of items normally given away, such as food, personal hygiene items, childcare items, in parentheses, diapers, etc., and parentheses, etc., to temporarily expand services. Clarification makes it more readable for future people to read. Let's see, this is the last one, yeah. From going from July 1st to, I'm changing out to January 21st, that's the first day back from winter break. So you guys can have your money back, you know? If they don't use it all, I don't expect them to not use it all, like I expect them to use it all, but for like whatever reason, if they don't, you guys can have it back and then, because it's for winter break. You may balance for later. But also, if you guys have a different date, like, I'll let you hash that, but that's fine. That's everything then.
Cool, with that, are there any other edits, Senator Taylor?
This is just a question. When we come back from break, will you come and tell us how much, if all of it, they use?
Sure.
Awesome, thank you. I can also do that too.
I yield.
Yeah, anything else that we want to make table? Seeing none,
I move to rise out of the committee of the whole.
is there any dissent to this motion? Hearing none, we've risen, reference. I know, that's why I said it, but with that, we'll now be entering a period of discussion and debate on this piece of legislation. Senator Taylor?
I think we all can agree that this is an excellent piece of legislation, so I move to previous question.
Is there any dissent? Hearing none, we'll go ahead and move to a period of voting on the passage of this legislation. Senator Taylor?
I move to pass this by unanimous consent.
Is there any dissent to this motion? Hearing none, is there any dissent to the passage of this legislation? Corona May Lawrence. With that, we'll now be moving into Bill 5529, the establishing of the legislative referenda in ASCSU elections.
I endorse, that's why I'm recusing myself.
Senator, can you be my parliamentarian for a second? Cool.
Okay, you wanna read the abstract?
Yes. Where'd the mic go? All right. Oh, was it? Oh, yeah, you're right.
You wanna do this one again, guys?
So good, we had to do it twice.
No, you're okay. Can I throw you skill issues?
This is a great time to mention that if you're interested in being parliamentarian next year, you should start asking Geo questions now. Get super suited up.
All right. This bill aims to amend the ASCSU Constitution by adding a process for the legislator of ASCSU to refer questions to a vote of the student body during the ASCSU elections.
Thank you, you have 10 minutes.
Okay, I think that that's pretty simple and straightforward. This is quite a big piece of legislation, kind of lots of big changes, so I will soon open this up to questions because I would imagine you have some. I did speak with the Chief Justice about this, and we will have a few amendments that we'll be making to this in committees, basically just adding some specific wording so as to not get confusing with other sections currently within the Constitution. But yeah, I guess I will open this up to questions. Please.
I just feel my being here, I should also speak. Yeah, as it says in the first whereas, this is a pretty usual process of legislatures, and I think it's pretty essential. Of course, people are fed in through elections, through senators, but we also have the duty, I think, to push things out. Legislation that we feel might be contentious or important for the student body to address. And yeah, hello.
Gio, can you do me a huge favor and say point of clarification into a mic real quick?
Point of clarification.
Thanks. We're now moving into a period of Q&A by First Race Placard on this legislation. If anyone has any questions. Seeing none. Crazy. Will now be out. This will be sent to Internal Affairs and University Affairs. Well now, we can clap if you want to clap. We'll now be moving into Bill 5531, Bill 5530, establishing term limits for university-wide elected positions within ASCSU. Hayden, you can say whenever you're ready.
Okay, this is the fun one. Yeah, this is something that has been brought to the Senate multiple times. To be quite honest, I can see both sides of this, and I think that there's valid reasons to debate this on both sides of this, but I think that this is a discussion that we should be having. Each of the times that this has been brought to the Senate in the past, it has been pulled, so it's never been fully voted on by the Senate and passed. So I would like to give us the opportunity to do that and the opportunity to have some discussions about this. I do have a couple of amendments that I intend to make with this, but we can do that in committee. I guess for now I will open that up to questions.
We'll now be starting a period of Q&A by First Race Placard. Senator Eddington.
Hi, I have a couple questions. So the first one is, with the trend of student engagement going down over the past few years, how is it responsible then to restrict which students could participate in ASCSU elected positions?
Well, I think that we've seen a decrease in participation because we have the same candidates seeking the same offices. I think that if we have new people and new ideas, there will be new ideas of ways to reach voters, there will be new ideas of ways that we can benefit the student body, and that will get people engaged, is the simple answer.
If I might also add on to that. The timetable majority of these students operate under undergrads, like myself, is 4 years. A term of that is 25% of their full term. And according to our Constitution, you need to essentially be a junior to even seek those offices to begin with. And as my friend said, already we think ASCSU has a bit of a reputation, the same candidates, incumbents. You're getting steamrolled, why bother running? This kind of opens up that pack ice. It allows more people to flow in, more people to run, more people to hope that this election can change things.
Gio, I love you with my entire heart, and I want to say that into a mic. Hayden, if Gio goes to answer a question, can you yield to him?
Yes.
For me?
I'm
sorry.
I yield back.
Coolio. Senator Edington, do you have any other questions?
I do, thank you. So actually, that's a really good point about like the students maybe not feeling like they could engage, but they can. So I don't know that you've like fully answered the question, like they're choosing not to engage right now. We are living in a world where they are choosing to not engage in ASCSU. Why restrict it? Like, and how does restricting it actually help our constituencies? It's kind of, I think that's the same question, but it does sound like a double question.
Okay, I'm going to be fully honest with you. I think that if we had the single best student to be president on this campus as the president, I think that they should still only be able to serve one term. I think that term limits is something that can decrease the continuity of the same ideas. It can decrease the some of the issues that we've seen with just lack of engagement, because if the same people just engage the same people to vote for them in elections, that's not reaching out to students. And additionally, if somebody is planning to seek re-election to an office, they have an incentive to do things that will help them to win the election and not push their full agenda now to accomplish what they told the students they would get done. That's how that would benefit the students. I yielded to you.
Somewhat additionally, for our freshmen in the room and the like, I can imagine most of us, when looking at ASCSU, we look at the top first. President, vice president, speaker. Top three big names. The three seats that would be affected by this legislation. If you want to make change, you got to start, of course, at the bottom, but also at the top. We've increased election accountability. Senators elected in the college councils. Let's, again, break up that pack ice. Let students see that the incumbency effect doesn't overwhelm any large ideas. You can have multiple viable candidacies in the same election. Give people a chance to invest in it. I yield.
I yield back to you.
Yeah, I'm gonna yield.
I didn't hear the yield, that was my bad.
It happened.
Fair.
I'm curious as to what the student stakeholder input was on this piece of legislation, like within your constituencies.
Yeah, I've talked to a lot of students about this. I've talked to a lot of folks in ASCSU about this. I've talked to people who used to be in ASCSU who are now not in ASCSU. To my knowledge, term limits was something that was originally brought by President Rob Lawn. That was way back in the 52nd Senate when I joined. And it's been brought kind of every year since then for different reasons. I think that talking to those people, talking to people who have been in ASCSU, talking to current members and talking to students is something that I've put a lot into with this. This is a bill that I brought last year when I talked to students then, and I'm bringing it back this year when I'm talking to students now.
Would you say stakeholder input has been primarily from people that have been associated with ASCSU, or has it been students that are just like in the student body?
It's a good mix of both.
Point of brief clarification, the original legislation was actually co-authored by Rob Long and a senator from Clark, Christian Kilburn, in the 52nd Senate. But with that, Associate Senator Kier.
So how often does any one of these positions actually serve more often than one term? Like, what are the numbers on that?
So I think just to be clear, I think that happening one time is an issue. So I think that we need to have turnover and new people and new ideas. And so I don't think it particularly matters how often that happens, because I think that one time is enough. But that is something that's happened at least a few times in decently recent memory of ASCSU history. I yield to Gia.
Additionally to that, I somewhat mentioned the incumbency effect on there. Even if a candidate runs and somehow doesn't win, that incumbency thing on the ballot kind of kills, kind of strangles any opposition in the womb. We're trying to make it, you cut off. You get your year, you're done. If you're speaker, you can run for president, you can run for other offices. This isn't cutting you out entirely. Yeah.
Additional point of clarification, there have been 2 instances of a president running 2 consecutive terms as of recent history, as per the placard thing with all their names outside. Do you have more questions?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
So then, maybe on that point, kind of going back to Farron's point a little bit, what was would you say like stakeholders were, student stakeholders specifically, were mostly in support of this? Were they kind of right in the middle? Were they against it? What was kind of that understanding that you were getting from them?
I think there's a small handful opposed to it, but overwhelmingly when I've talked to students, they seem to support it. I think that people tend to look at this issue with how they view term limits on things like the federal level and the state level, and that's just not what we're facing here within ASCSU. This is a student government, and we have, like Gio said, very limited time to hold these kinds of positions, and so people by and large have been in support of that.
And then I think this is my final question here, but what is like, this is maybe not super specific, but what is kind of the learning curve for each of these positions? And is that something that benefits president, speaker, VP if they go back to back?
Well, I'm quite a person to talk about this. I was the last Speaker of the Senate, and so I do have that experience of taking on a position like that. In my experience, at least, it's a steep learning curve for about 2 weeks, and then you just get into the swing of it and you know what to do. So I think that with doing that, it's not something that's going to massively hinder any kind of continuity. I think that it's something that you could. Okay. That's something that is an argument that I've heard made in the past when this has been brought, and it's just one that's never really struck me as a strong argument, if I'm being honest. I yield to Gio.
I won't be all pontificative, I swear. But I also think it's important to note that the people going to these positions aren't going in, totally blind, nothing beyond their feet. You still have prior presidents, the person you're succeeding. You still have leaders in this chamber, in this space. We have a very contiguous sort of core person of ASCSU. So I can't exactly vouch for speakership, but at least in my experience, yeah, there was a lot of leaders in this space that kind of helped me get in my position, even though it's not totally applicable. I yield.
I will add on to that slightly. Some of the people who mentored me were speakers who have stuck around for a long time after that. Kyle Hill is one of them. He was the Speaker of the 51st Senate, which is before even my time in ASCSU, and he was still in the Senate by the time I was elected. Nick DeSalvo also, and Ava, they've all been good mentors and good people to help teach me a lot of things, and people I've been able to be in contact with. I yield to the floor. Excuse me, the Speaker.
I can speak on the speakership. Part of the job of being speaker, part of the job of being president, part of the job of anyone in this room, but more specifically those positions, is helping to build the infrastructure that lasts beyond you. There's no way for one person to be able to see all of the holes in the infrastructure. No hate when I say this. In all the ways that Hayden might have messed up, in all the ways that Nick DeSalvo might have definitely messed up, there were holes that I could fill. And that is not a learning curve of 1 to 2 weeks. That is a learning curve of the year. That is the experience of the year. That is the information that you can then transition to the next individual to find the holes that you've left.
I motion to add 5 minutes to Q&A.
Do any dissent to that? No? Cool, there you go.
I did.
Okay. What?
I yield.
Thank you, sorry. Chair Gray.
So bear with me here, I'm gonna fumble through this, but how many students did you speak to about this, for their input on this bill?
I don't have an exact number. This is conversations I've been having since I've been involved in ASCSU. That's coming up on 4 years now. So I don't think I can even get a rough estimate, to be totally honest. I've been talking to students in poli-sci classes, students on the plaza when I've been campaigning 3 times, students in various clubs, so lots of students.
on that note, of the students, like thinking about the students that you spoke with who had no previous association with ASCSU, like how much variety do they have from representing their different colleges? Did you speak to students from all of the colleges?
I've spoken to students of all kinds of backgrounds, yes.
Thank I yield.
Thank you, Officer Jowden.
One of my I have a couple questions as well, but so I guess one of mine is we did run into that issue of having someone be that two-term president. That was Nick. I guess what's the justification behind like what if students genuinely want another person? Like I guess my opinion on things is like once someone is the president for at least 1 year, I feel like we have a better opinion on if we would want them to be a president again for the next coming year. So I guess mine is like what's the justification in kind of taking that choice away from students?
Yeah, that's a good question. To begin, I would like to make very clear that this legislation is not targeted at anybody in particular. This is not targeted at any past, previous presidents, VPs, speakers. This is not targeted at anyone who holds those offices now, and this is not targeted at anybody who's going to hold those in the future. The justification, I think, of that is really the incumbency advantage. Incumbency is a huge advantage, and that's something that I can speak to with my own experience. Having lost the election before every election that I won, I can tell you that just having my name out there and having done a campaign before was something that massively benefits a candidate. So it really disadvantages lots of candidates and can discourage people from being involved and participating in elections, and also discourage people from voting because it's just the same person again. That's kind of the basic overview of justification for that.
On that note, I'm trying to think of how to word this. I'll ask the next question for now. If there is already barriers in the way of being a multi-term president, like you have to have 60 credits on your belt and you have to be served already a semester here at CSU, if there already is barriers in the way, what's the justification in making kind of like a no-goes kind of thing if there already is those barriers that exist, especially considering like two-term presidents are already so rare?
I mean, like I said, I think even that happening once is an issue. When I spoke with Rob Lawn about that, when he originally brought the bill, he said that if the person who was president before him had ran again and wanted a second term, that Rob Lawn would not have been the president. And I'm somebody who sees a big issue with that personally. So I think that, does that answer that question, kind of?
Oh, I have more questions, so it's fine. But I guess.
We're almost about to run out of time. Officer Diggs.
I'm gonna motion to extend the time of Q&A by 10 minutes.
Any dissent? We'll extend it by 10 minutes.
I yield to the speaker.
The speaker would like to emphasize the sitting down. I think part of the answer to that question is additionally, instead of having, it's not just the president, it's also the speaker, it's the vice president, having more than one person serve as the chair of SFRB, possibly from a different background, a different college council, forging those different connections, is bringing that information to more people on how to hold that positionality, to do all of the job tasks that relate to it, to recruit and retain, to build out the team. So it's not just the incumbency of that advantage, it's the advantage of having more than one person with perspective in the position.
I guess you speak a lot of like incumbency advantage. I guess for me, I'm kind of confused as to like, yes, there is that advantage, but does that necessarily negate like the free will of people choosing? Like there's that advantage, but I feel like students still have the ability to choose. Like how does incumbency advantage necessarily like affect that, I guess?
Yeah, that's a good question, and my answer to that is absolutely incumbency is a huge advantage. When you run a campaign, one of the things that any successful campaign is doing is talking to students, and the best way to do that is student organizations, is clubs, is those kinds of meetings of people. And once you have an in with those organizations, then it's easier to connect back with them again when you campaign a second time. And also, holding a position of leadership elected by the students within ASCSU gives you lots of access to those, and so you can be building up those connections the whole year and then have a gigantic advantage in a campaign. That would be my thoughts on that. I yield to Gio.
A very profound question. One I think could be applied to basically any democracy on the planet. It is an unfortunate truth that the incumbency effect is just a fact. It's there, as was said. You get your foot in the space, you're likely to kick your way in better. Does not negate people's free will, but as we said with the continuous incumbency, the same faces, the same names, the pool of people to exercise that free will, the pool of people that care to exercise that in general has shrunk, as was seen in last year's elections results. We wish to see that expanded. I yield.
Okay, this is my last question, I'm sorry. But you also mentioned a lot of it, like, is that transitional knowledge, giving people access to kind of get their new ideas out. I think one thing for me, and I think all of ASCSU has really struggled with that transition of power, whether that's regarding like transition reports. Would you consider adding, if this were to actually pass and we were to vote on it, would you consider adding sections into it that created more, I guess, like codifying and institutionalizing that transition of knowledge? Because I think now we often have like transition reports, but let's like be honest, a lot of people in ASCSU don't get them, and if they do get them, they're not good. Like, and I know for so many people that are in these leadership spots now that the transition was hard for them in moving over, because again, like, we don't have systems in place. So I think at least if I wanted to like see this, would you consider putting that in?
I would be happy to amend the legislation to deal with the transitions in and out of power, yes, and I yield to the speaker.
Info dump time. Judicial has a really good transition report system already. They have, Melanie, you can nod if I'm, or whatever, if I'm wrong or right. But you guys have stuff going back like a while, right? Yeah. They're ahead of the curve. Additionally, I know exec, living with Lauren Davis, I read Georgia White's transition report for the Director of Basic Needs. Phenomenal. We need that codified here. That's a bylaws edit. It's also a piece of legislation that I'm actively working on in terms of transition reports. Onboarding transition reports, that's how we build the infrastructure to support the Senate. So there's things moving there. If you have any interest in any of that, or any interest of how the other branches do it, we can all collab. I yield to Melanie.
Just kind of like a point of clarification also, a big project of judicial as well as our advisor Julia, she is like she studied this, she has her degree in this, and she knows everything about like kind of like transition reports, is that we're trying to make this more system. And so this is something that's going to be taken out of the specific branch leaders like role, like it shouldn't depend on just whoever that student is and if they care about it, but it's gonna be something more that ASCSU as an org, as a system implements every year. And so next semester we will be working on that, and so I would expect that, but yeah.
Additionally, I think transition reports and an archival system is the solution there.
If I can add on just quickly, we also have some changes coming, like the legislation that we've seen moving the elections timeline that can help to have new people elected to office, have a longer time to get acquainted with the people currently holding that office and get to kind of get some knowledge from them.
I know I did, that was my last question, but I didn't yield yet, so I'm gonna ask a couple more questions. Are you hoping that this would go into effect during this current election cycle or after?
No, so and that's something that I intend to amend in committees in this legislation, and quite honestly, it's just not in there right now because I haven't been able to figure out the best way to say it. I think that the candidates currently holding these offices if they do intend to seek election to any of those offices, they've been planning campaigns. And so I think that would be just unfair to get in the way of that. But I think that that's something I want to see after this election cycle. So if that's writing into the Lex that will take place in, 2026 sometime, then that's what we would do. If that's something else, then that's what we can do. But I think that we need to figure out the best way to say that, and we can all do that together in committees. But I have no intention of getting in the way of this election.
My second question is, we run into the same trend of last year where we had only one. Say it's the same people that are going again, there's only people running, but they can't run for a second term. What will we do?
I think that's a good question. And I think that quite honestly, we lost some candidates because we had multiple running for president to begin with. But I think that we lost some because they saw quickly that they didn't have the knowledge and the resources of the incumbents that were going to help a specific campaign. And I think that if we can not have term limits, and then we can look at other ways to cut down on the incumbency advantage, that can be beneficial.
I yield, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Roberts.
I just have a couple questions. One was, and I don't know if this really fits here, and if it does, just someone told me to cut it off. But my question is, when we're looking at this, what is the difference between us as senators not being term limited in this legislation? I view it as like all of us have equal power, and so we have the same power as the president and the speaker. I think that our voices can be heard the same. So would this be something that we'd see fall down to senator positions? I guess is my question.
That's not my intention at all with this. And I can give a quick explanation of why as well. I agree with you. I think that every single person within this organization has an equal standing. And this is not trying to establish some kind of a false hierarchy within this. Simply put, it's because those positions are the only ones within this organization elected by the entire student body.
Okay, unless Brooke, you want, I can yield to you. I yield to Brooke.
My bad. I think an additional aspect, just as a clarification in terms of how our hierarchical system does work. Everyone in this room, in case you didn't know, I'm the direct supervisor of. Not everyone, y'all are an exec, shout out, collab. But as for Senate membership, I oversee cabinet, I oversee senators, and I oversee the associate senators. Additionally, thank God for rent. I'm paid quite a bit in comparison to the $0 that all of you receive. That is an amount of power, resource, connection, specifically in terms of contact with things like admin. Being able to represent everyone in this room is different from the sorts of coalition that you can build within the college councils and the ERCs. Part of the positionality of a senator, uniquely, additionally, is that you're a senator, and ideally, we'll work on recruit and retention reference, having associate senators for you all. The idea is that there's a built-in transition of power between senators and associate senators built into that system that we don't have for the Speaker of the Senate innately, or President or whatever.
Got it. Perfect. I yield. Thanks.
I'd entertain a motion to extend.
Point of clarification, per the bylaws, we can only extend it by 5 minutes.
Chair Stoner.
Motion to extend it by 3 minutes.
Point of clarification, first you'd have to suspend the bylaws, so you should suspend bylaws and then do that.
I thought it was 5 additional.
Five additional minutes. They can extend it by 5 additional minutes.
5 minute.
I'm so sleepy, guys. That was incredibly my bad.
That's why I said 3 minutes, not 5. Sorry, I do.
Is there any dissent to adding 3 minutes? We have 3 people on the list. No? Cool. Senator Bochanan.
I yield for the guns.
2 people. Senator Eddington.
Thank you. So your legislation, you mentioned like incumbents being able to favor whoever was trying to run. But your legislation doesn't stop that. Like your legislation wouldn't stop, we're gonna venture into the world of hypotheticals. Your legislation wouldn't stop Jakai from helping somebody that he chose as a successor to run and wouldn't stop them from gaining that benefit, which was something you pointed at for a reason this legislation this year. So if it doesn't stop that, then why are we doing it?
My answer to that is, and I'm not gonna use names, this is all hypotheticals. If, say, a vice president wanted to seek the presidency and the president did not, then they could give all of the campaigning advice and campaign teams and connections that they have to that individual. But that still would be new people, new ideas, new ways of doing things coming into this organization, which is, I think, fundamentally a benefit to ASCSU. So that would be kind of my answer to that. I yield to Gio.
Not to put too fine a point on it, but there's a quite large difference between President so-and-so and endorsed by President so-and-so. If there's any other questions, then I yield.
I yield to the speaker.
I'd like to put two names to something. Hayden and I are kind of a direct example of a president, vice president, speaker pro tempore, who have very different perspectives. Though we do work together, I was also his vice chair of intro, shout out. Hayden and I have done that, where people, yeehaw.
Okay, so also like,
We have one more person on the list and we have 1 minute left.
well, I guess I'll ask quick. So if the issue, people weren't wanting to be involved because it was an uncontested race last year, how would pulling potential candidates from the next election not create the same thing we just had where students don't want to engage? Does that make sense?
I'm kind of confused, I'm sorry. Can you ask that?
Last election was uncontested, students don't care to engage because nobody's contesting the election.
Yes.
This bill would pull potential candidates, would pull one potential candidate, which would create another uncontested race. So it's not promoting student engagement. Why would you push it through?
So I just think that's...
You have 13 seconds.
Thank you. I think that that's a misunderstanding of the legislation. We can go into that more in depth in committees. Okay.
Senator Singleton.
I motion to suspend the bylaws bill to increase the speaker's time by 5 minutes.
That specific section or the entire bylaws?
So, a specific section of the bylaws.
I don't know what that is, but we'll trust that. Is there any dissent to suspending that specific section of the bylaws? No? Did you have a time? 5 minutes? Is there any dissent to 5 minutes being added? No? Then Chair Gray, finish us out.
Guys, I have one question here. Alright, answer this quickly, I mean, it's real simple. Other than word of mouth, did you recently advertise this bill any other way?
Not this time, no.
Perfect.
Although this has 2 readings ahead of it, not including this one, so there's plenty of time.
Okay, gotcha. I yield.
Chair Gaston.
Yeah, I'll make this really quick, but since a lot of people brought up some great points of like voter turnout and then kind of like, and then getting an advantage and everything like that, would you be willing, and we can still vote on this and everything, but maybe instead of doing a term limit, maybe we could write legislation that really supports, like new people getting, or like wanting to be in elections and everything? Does that make sense?
I don't exactly know what that would look like, and I think that that would be adding a lot to elections and the elections committee in ways that might not be fair to all of the candidates, and I think that term limits is kind of one of the best ways to do that. I yield to Gio.
I see kind of what you need, maybe a resolution or something, promoting students to go out, but this gives it teeth. Things can be ignored, this can't. Term limits, quickest way to kill the incumbency effect. Takes incumbent off the list. Yeah, I yield.
Point of clarification, as elections manager, you have ex officio rights, so you can ask a question, I think, if you want to.
I yield to you.
Just to speak to Victoria's point, Selena's role is entirely created with the purpose of outreach to students that elections have not reached in the past. So if we are trying to reach out to new candidates, I think that is something that is under her scope as a position, so we have money allotted for that.
I yield.
Cool. With that, this will be sent to IA, UA, and DEI.
Thanks, y'all.
So does anyone want to do ending roll call? Otherwise I'd entertain a motion to not do ending roll call. Senator Garnet.
Motion to use beginning roll call as ending roll call and anyone else to go.
Coolio, is there any dissent? Didn't expect any. With that, we adjourn.
Hi. Wow. See a funny picture? I think you've probably already seen this.
I have to ask, is a woman that
Senate or?
I should probably turn.
The Q, the president.